Oh, welcome to another video. Uh, Today I am going to design a picture frame that is its own picture, which might sound a little bit odd, but basically I want to make a picture frame where the backing of it is actually the picture to be displayed. So uh, basically it's a design that's mostly supposed to be artistic. I've got a bunch of artistic designs that I've come up with to burn on the sides of boxes and stuff. I'm thinking a lot of them will look pretty good on them on their own, just hanging on a wall. But then you need a frame, so why not just make that picture also the frame? Since I'm laser etching it, I can also laser cut it at the same time and make a frame out of it. So I went ahead and just made a new part and saved it. There's nothing in here other than the name of the part. And I'm going to start by putting in a couple of variables. First of all, I plan on selling this on Etsy, so um, the size matters. Physically, uh, it has to fit into a box, otherwise, it needs a bigger box, which costs more to ship. I only have certain size boxes. So I'm going to drive this by the external dimensions. Um, but first, as always, I'm going to put my material thickness, and that's approximation. I can adjust it later once I actually measure the particular pieces I'm cutting. And also, I'm going to put kerf right at the top, even though I'm not going to use that for quite a while. I might as well put it there right away because that will be adjusted. Um, then dim x, which is the width. I go with the Cartesian system on that. So this could be pretty big, actually. I mean, I could go up to 700 millimeters wide with this, which is over 2 feet. But just for simplicity of modeling and keep things moving fast while modeling, I'm going to set it to 100. I can always increase it later, but if I make it bigger, it'll take a lot more time processing, and I don't really want to do that with, especially with the video, but even in general. And dim y, which would be the height. Uh, Again, keep it small. That can go up to almost 500 millimeters on my machine, which is a little under 2 feet, and this could be scaled to be pretty large. Um, so I might need more. Let's see. I'm always put a assembly fillet in there eventually, so I might as well put it in there right now because I know I'll need it eventually, and I'll probably need other stuff too, but that, we can add it later. So I'm gonna start a sketch in Z0. This is a custom template. If you've got the default, it'll be some other plane, but it really doesn't matter what plane it is. So I'm gonna just draw on that real quick, and I'm gonna rename this to Scale 1 so that I can use it. And also, I'm gonna go ahead and open a copy of Notepad to take notes. So start by saying this is equal to dim x, and this is equal to dim y. All right. And I'm going to select this chain. I'm going to offset it. I can't put a formula in here, so I'll just leave it how it is for now. And then I can change it here. And this is equal to my material thickness. So there's going to be a flat back plane. And then there's going to be standing on edge along the sides. There's going to be 4 pieces of wood here. And then select this chain. I'm going to offset again. And actually, I am not going to do that quite yet because I don't know how much that's going to be offset. I need to figure that out. So I'm going to just draw a line way over here. I'm going to make this horizontal and set it to be like 800. That way it's way outside of anything that I might be working with. I'll set to for construction. And basically this is just going to be the lines that I use to hold math. So go ahead and drop a whole bunch of lines out here and select them all, make them all parallel and equal, and then I'll just do one coincident there so they're all in line, and put a dimension on the first one, say 30 maybe. That works. Just to make it easier to work with, make them a little bit wider. Oh, I don't want to insert, I want line. So I'm just going to click and drag, click and drag, click and drag, just repeat that. And I want a whole bunch of these vertical lines. And these are going to be what I use to do a little bit of math and store it. And these are all going to be vertical. All right. So if we go from there to there, I'm going to say this equals my dim x minus my material thickness times 4. Let's see. So if I do that, so basically there's going to be a vertical here, and then there's kind of going to be a little bit of frame material, and then another set of 4 standing on end here, and then inside will be the actual image. So it'll be material thickness, some unknown, material thickness again, and that'll be on both sides. So we want this minus material thickness times 4, and then we can work from there. We also need alright, so actually I don't quite need, I can do one more here. Select chain, offset, and reverse, and this is going to be equal to my material thickness times 3. So it's going to be 1 material thickness and then 3 in the middle, because that way I can have an inlet, a finger, and an inlet. I could probably go down to 2, but it wouldn't be so great in the corners. And I know that it looks like I'm using a lot of the material, a lot of the space I'm working with, but remember I'm working with something smaller than I'm ever actually going to use. Dimensions smaller than I'm ever actually going to use. So this is going to get a lot bigger. These dimensions will stay the same, but this area will get a lot larger. And so I'm going to select this again, offset, reverse, yep. And this one is also going to be equals material thickness. So the whole outside rectangle, you can think of that as a flat piece that we're looking straight at. And then this section all the way around and this section all the way around, that's each of those is made out of 4 pieces each, so 8 pieces total, and we're looking at those on end. And then in this section in between, there'll be 4 more pieces that we're looking at straight on, and they kind of will interlock. So it makes a nice little frame. So let's see, we've got 1 material thickness plus 3 plus 1, so that's 5 material thickness on each side. So that's 10 material thickness. So you need to adjust this. It's not times 4, it's times 10. So this is X working. Call that. And just go ahead and put the formula that I need in there right away. And I'm going to do the same thing basically here. Actually, I'm even going to copy this. And here, it's going to be the same thing, except this time it's going to be dim y. And it's going to be y working. All right. So then we happen to get lucky on both of these because they're both odd numbers and they're 0.000. They're not anything weird. Uh, so that's just pure luck. These easily, when I change the wood thickness, these are not going to be the same. Actually, I'll go ahead and just show, for example, same issue. The wood thickness is 4.31, like tiny difference, right? Now, those are not exactly what we wanted, or not. They're not even numbers or whole numbers. So we need to work with those a little bit to make sure that they're always going to end up as being whole numbers. So I'm going to say this is equal to that minus 1 divided by 2. And I'm going to say this is equal to that minus 1 divided by 2. So now if I double this and add 1, I would get back to there. And the idea of that is that I always want this to be an odd number, and I want it to be a whole number. I want it to be an odd number because it looks better in a pattern, the way I'm doing this, and I want it to be a whole number because it's going to be the number of teeth, so I don't want a part of a tooth. So what that means is that since these are not whole numbers, I need to do a little bit more work on these. And you might say, well, they're so close to 28 and 18, just round them up to 28 and 18. But if I change the wood thickness again, maybe they're right on, right a little bit over 28, and then rounding them up causes a problem, or something like that. And since these teeth are so thin, going smaller than the wood thickness causes no end to headaches. I always want the tooth to be equal or larger to the wood thickness, which means these I want to round down. And SOLIDWORKS provides a function for that. It's called int. So I'm going to say it's equal to int of that, and do the same thing for the other one. All right, so that's those numbers rounded down. And so this times 2 plus 1 will be the total number of teeth that we get. So let's do that. So I'm going to say that this is equal to this times 2 plus 1. And this is x teeth. So x teeth. And this one is going to be equal to this times 2 plus 1. That's going to be y teeth. And just go ahead and make these formulas right away since I'm going to be using them again. All right. So originally we got 56.9. We want it to be a whole number, and we want it to be an odd number, and we want it to be rounded down. So 55 is the next number down, and 35 is next from that one. So that's all worked out pretty well. Still have some more things that we can use for math. So let's see. What else do we need to do? Well, the first thing is I want to find out how much this divided by, well, that's how many teeth I've got. So I have to go back. Let's see, what was this? So I'm going to write a formula here instead of there. So I'm going to say x equals x working divided by the x number of teeth. And do the same thing with y. And this is x tooth wide. Okay, so that's, oh, nope, did that wrong. So I want to divide this by that minus 1 divided by 2 and put another bracket there. And change it to y for the other one. So let's try this again. I put in, let's delete this whole thing, and 2.107, that's still not what I'm looking for. So let's see what I'm doing wrong here. This is the total plate space I've got to work with. This is the number of teeth. Let's see. What was my, is this x working again? Okay, so this is x working. So I've got 56 wide divided by, okay, so that's my x working, that's my y working. And this is, okay. So I slipped up there quite a bit, but it can be fixed. It can be fixed. So I'm just gonna wipe this out, and let's see. So this is actually gonna be equaling to that divided by material thickness, and this equals that divided by material thickness. All right. So that's how many teeth we'd have. So I skipped a step or two there, but we can go back. So let's say this equals that divided by, minus 1 divided by 2. And this equals that minus 1, I'll put it in brackets, and divided by 2. So these don't even have names. All right. So then, what's our next one? It equals that times 2 plus 1. So we're not quite ready for those to be like that. So I'm going to say this one is equal to the int of that. And call it xt half low. And this, oh, let's delete what's there. So this is equal to the int of that. And like that. Oh, keep everything consistent. All right. So then we need to say this is equal to, put in brackets, that times 2 plus 1, and it's going to be x teeth. Which, all right, and I'll do the same thing here, equals that times 2 plus 1. It's going to be y teeth. All right, and then from there, now we can go where to what I was doing when I realized I had made a mistake. I want to figure out how wide these are. Oh. Yep, every time I get a chance to keep this clean, I like to keep it clean. And let's go there. All right, so need to figure out what my formula is here. So I want, let's just get rid of this. So this is going to be equal to the x working divided by the x teeth. Oh, and I don't need that second equals there. So that's about right. And let's try also on the y. And, oh, don't need that. All right. So obviously those are a little bit off. That separation is going to drop significantly when the dimensions get bigger. It's just because this is so small, it's going to be a little bit punchy, I guess you could say. So x tooth wide. And call this just y tooth wide. And put these in there. And all right. So I still may need to come back and do more of the math, but at least I know how many teeth there are and how wide they're going to be, and they're driven. So when I change the dimensions, they'll change with it. So let's get out of this sketch and make a new sketch. Select this chain, convert it, and do an extrude boss going the other way. And it's going to be equal to my material thickness, and go. All right. Then, so yeah, this is a tiny little plate because that's that's less than 5 millimeters thick. So yeah, it gives you an idea of how small we're working with right here. And this is only 100 wide, so roughly 4 inches-ish. So I'm going to draw another, actually, I can go ahead and draw on Z0 directly. If you can draw on an existing plane as opposed to a face, it's good practice. It's not necessary, but it's good practice. Just you're less likely to make grievous errors that way. So, need to look at how this is all going to go together. And I'm thinking, since these are shorter, and they're almost certainly always going to be shorter, because even if I want it to be the other way, I can just flip the image as opposed to flipping the whole design. So I'm gonna do some cuts right at the corners. X equals Y. All right, and there, and there, and there. And I might use a whole bunch of individual steps, but it's easier. It's more reliable to do it as an excessive number of steps than an excessive number of features in a single, or excessive number of elements in a single feature, because especially when features get really complicated and sketches get really complicated, it takes an exponentially longer time to process or to regenerate. So like if you had if you say you had 20 features with 10 things each in them, that'll regenerate faster than one feature with 200 things in it. So it's not a big deal to have more things in the tree. You can always put them in folders. So I'm going to draw in a single rectangle here, and a single rectangle here, and here, and here. Oh, before I go too much farther though, I want to put an anchor for myself. And I'm not actually going to use this for anything directly. I'm just going to call that home. And that way, whenever I'm like wondering where do I start things from, it's always starting from this side or this side, not from this side or this side. All right, so let's go back into the sketch. And let's see. Want to draw just a line from there. Actually, I'm going to hide this original. There we go. So, do coincident, and I'm going to do a line from there to there. I can go from one, I want to be on one of the midpoints, but not on both. I'll just use a parallel constraint for the others. And let's see, going to make these equal. Going to make these equal. Make these for construction. And I'm going to kind of connect the two sides. And coincident and coincident. All right, so now if I change something about that, change that, same here. So what do we have here? We have this x tooth wide. So if I go here and say it equals that, and then y tooth wide, same deal. We've already done all the math for this, so we can just use that. And yeah, again, these are not, those don't look the same, but when it's scaled up, the differences between those will be much smaller. So I'm going to select those two chains, do a linear pattern, and go 101, going downwards, and okay. I'm going to draw in just a line that's going to be a construction line, and it's going to be equal to that. And let's see, what is it going to be? It's going to be based on this. So it's going to be equal to this minus 1 divided by 2, I believe. And it's probably highlighting things that are off the screen right now very slowly. It likes to do that sometimes. And just trying to drag this out of the way so that I can double click it without double clicking something else. And okay, so then the difference here is 5.271, 5.271. All right. So let's select this chain and select this chain and do a linear of 101 again. But this time it's going to be x teeth for the quantity. And then we need one more construction line. And make it equal to that. So just a sanity check. 4.377. All right. So if I do extrude cut, go through all, okay. So those are going to be the holes that the the pieces standing on end towards the middle are going to slot into. And then we need to work on the outside. So I'm thinking that I don't want teeth right at the edge. In fact, I don't want teeth right at the edge for 2 teeth spaces. So now that I say that, I'm wondering how it will actually look. But yeah, I think that's right. And these teeth spaces are actually just based on material thickness. So material thickness times 2. Okay. I'm going to go equal on those. And I'll just go ahead and draw in the other ones as well, just so it's easier for me to think about them existing, because they do, even though I'm not actually going to use them to generate any geometry in the model. All right, and I'll go ahead and make those all for construction as well. All right, so that's going to be solid in this back piece, which means that I need a cut right after it. And let's see, it's going to be half of that, obviously, and it's going to be equal there as well. And I'm going to do kind of the same thing there, and there, and there. So just do a bunch of equal constraints. And equal. All right. And let's see. Since this is not really going to be patterned, I've got to do the other ones as well. Make these nice and big so they're easy to grab at least. All right, so it's going to be cuts going out through all those. So I'll go ahead and do that right away. All right. And then let's see. We'd want some more matching. Let's see. If we go coincident and coincident and coincident. Let's see, what's our distance here? 4.31, 4.31. All right, so that works out well. So we want one more set of teeth. Basically there, there. I got that one. So we need there, 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 there. And that's all of them. And just select all these so I can make them all equal at once. Equal. All right. And coincident. And where we can, we'll go off of those. Actually, you know what? I'm not sure I like that. So I'm going to external references. So I'm going to look for things that I made coincident there. So I don't mind being coincident on the outsides, but there. Yeah, that's fine as far as coincident goes, but let's see. That's not. All right. So we want to, let's see. Want to use some just lines. will be construction lines. And this way we're not really tied to those centers as much. Just make all these. Come on. And one more. So then I want to select all of these, and I want to make them all equal to each other, and I want to make them all for construction. So equal and for construction. How is it unsolvable? Sometimes SOLIDWORKS says some weird things. Just make them equal one at a time, I guess. And make them for construction as I go. Okay. So if I make it equal to that. So there's something going on with this one. I feel like there's something going on with this one anyway. External. So let's see, that's that, that. Oh. Just looking around at what gets highlighted. I'm not 100% sure. If I'm not 100% sure, I'm just going to delete it because it's doing weird things with me. And I started off constraining this wrong, so. Okay. So that one is fully constrained. I'm not sure how it is, actually. It's equal length to that. Fine. Oh, and that's equal length to that. Okay. So these are equal length as well. Oh, nope. This needs to be constrained there. Yeah, things can get dicey really fast if you're not really on top of your constraints. So for construction, and let's just make those equal and make these equal as well. That's better. Let's make those equal. And that's for construction. That's for construction. For construction and equal. And we want that to be for construction and equal. Just keep going around. Oh, another error. What if we made it equal there? No, you don't like that at all. Okay. Why can I not be equal to that? Makes no sense. Equal, equal. What if I make it equal to that? It just does not like that at all. So let's get rid of this and that. Okay, you're happy now, sort of. And make it parallel. Hey, there we go. I say sometimes SOLIDWORKS is weird. Equal there. And for construction and equal. And this one's also for construction already. So just drag to see how it's not constrained. And go parallel. And everything's constrained. Hooray! So we'll use the sketch right away. So now we've got 2 more fingers. And let's see, then we need basically these fingers and these fingers on the outside, which I'm going to go back and use the original sketch to do that, or the original feature. Because if I draw in another 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I'm going to make these all driven off the originals. Because that way it's all already punched in and everything. Just add these to the existing linear patterns. And if I change something in that sketch, it'll go ahead and change both because I want them both to be basically tied to each other anyway. So that's fine by me. All right, and I want that to be equal, 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 equal. And that'll be equal as well. And then I'm just gonna edit this linear pattern. Go down here and say I want to add this, 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 and this as well. Okay, edit this linear pattern. And do the same thing with these. Okay. And hopefully nothing breaks. Okay. So now this one is cutting all the inside ones. These two are cutting the outer ones. And we have a backplane that's basically fully designed. It still needs the assembly chamfers and like kerf and all that good stuff, but we'll do that later. First, I want to design the pieces that are actually going to go in here. So, I'm going to sketch there and go like that. And I'm going to use I'm going to constrain to the skeleton. So, there we go. All right. And then, see what I want this to be 5 times the material thickness. All right. And I'm going to extrude. I'll just, instead of going up to the surface, I'll just go equals material thickness. And I don't want to merge that, of course. And let's see, that'll be the same as the bottom one. So I'm only going to draw on the side ones for now, or the first ones. And yep, go coincident again. And this time I can just go coincident to that. And I'm going to go equals my material thickness, going the other way. Again, don't merge. All right, so that's a start. This surface should always be there, so I can draw on that. And again, go coincident there. And also coincident up here. Did I grab? Come on. Coincident. All right. Equals my material thickness. Don't merge, going that way. Okay. And I will hide this one for a second so I can draw here. Just getting my basic shapes set up, then I can cut pieces out of them as needed, but good to set up the basic shapes first. Okay. So that works, I believe. Now I am going to, just for a second, I'm going to hide this. I don't need the skeleton at the moment. And I'm going to make a plane equally between those two. Actually, since that was the first thing made, I'll use that. And I'm going to call this mid Z plane. Just something that I can remember. It doesn't really matter what the name of it is that much. And let's see. Let's bring back this bottom piece. So I'm gonna mirror using this plane and this body. All right, and let's see. I am gonna need 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna need 4 of these and 5 of those actually. So I'm gonna make 4 copies of each. And then I can get rid of the first one there. So now what I can do is I can do combine, subtract, and go, I want this, okay, and then I'll show everything so that I can hide these as I go. So I'm going to do a combine, subtract again, this minus this and that, and then I'll just hide it and repeat. This equals that, removed, and hide it, and combine. I want this minus those two. Top one should disappear, and then this should be the last copy of that. All right. So we can hide the mid Z plane now. So we got our fingers top and bottom for these 4 pieces, and we also have the bottom plane. We'll still need the top, but we can work on that later. Come on. So we've got nice little square section there. The reason that that's 2 is if these teeth were right up to the edge, then this square here would be disconnected, and that would be a problem. Not really an issue on the inside one though. So let's see. Let's hide this. Now we want to have some kind of either a cut in this or a cut in the other one. And I'm thinking that it'd probably be better if the cut was in this, so the other one slotted into it. So I'm going to say this is equal to material thickness. If I can, I'm going to go equal, 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 equal. All right. And let's see what's the best way. I grabbed it. Nah, that's a little bit too sloppy. Hide this. Yeah, just trying to think of the best way. Yeah, I think this actually would be the best way. So since I know that's going to be right in the center, I can just go with these and coincident and coincident and just a little bit of sanity check. Got 4.31 and 4.31. Okay, so that works. Do an extrude cut through all, only applying to this one piece. And while I'm doing this, I'm thinking that in addition to just having this open, I can actually have this as a closed off tooth, and this is basically going off into an internal void, so it doesn't really matter if it's doesn't look quite right from that sense. So I'm gonna go. So that should always be there. That should always be there, I believe. Actually, I don't even need to draw a second one, come to think of it. Let's see, go coincident to the mid plane again. And I'll just make this material thickness. And I'll make this equal to material thickness times, don't want to get, I do want it to be right at 3. That way the plate that sits horizontally on the top here will have something to rest against. That works with me. All right, and I'm going to select this chain, and I'm going to mirror it, and I'm just going to use one of the original planes because I know that's going to stay there. And then I can go and extrude up to here, and I only want to be applied to that one. All right, so now it's got this piece here. This piece here has a nice spot to slot into. So I'm going to make a copy of this, and that way I can use combine subtract on that, which leaves me with that. But I don't want to do that quite yet, because in addition to making a copy, I want to make a mirror. And then when I do my combine, I'm also going to combine that. That way it's on both sides. So still needs chamfers, still needs kerf and all that good stuff, but it's starting. Starting to look right, at least in theory. And let's see. This one also looks right, at least in theory. So let's see. How do we want to address these? I'm thinking that this is the side that I want. Since this side is a little bit shorter to begin with, this is the side I'm going to give a little bit more length. Maybe. No, just for the sake of looks, I'm going to make this the side that's got the teeth, I think. So some things are just judgment calls. What do you think will look nice versus not so nice? I'm gonna make this equal to material thickness and make these two equal. And I'm gonna put a point and make it coincident with that Z-plane. And I'm gonna select the chain, do a mirror feature around that. Okay. And then just do an extrude cut through all, applying only to this one body. All right. That looks pretty good, I think. And this side piece needs to kind of slot in there, so I need to make matching teeth. But first, I need another one of these. Actually, I need two more of those, so first I'll mirror it. And grab my plane again. I'll just mirror it back again. And I can hide this one. So I want to take this and remove those two mirrors I just made. So now I've got the side piece, I've got the top piece, I've got the inside top piece, the inside side piece, and I've got the back piece, and then these pieces over here will just be mirrors of these. Which, since I'm going to work on the top, or these flat pieces that will go in between, I need to go ahead and do those mirrors right now. So mirror this and this. And I need to mirror, oh, nope, mirror, not linear pattern. This and this. All right. And I can hide my Z-plane real quick. Okay. Gonna save this. Should have saved this a while ago. All right. So I've got that. So I need the pieces that will lay in here and in here. And I'm gonna take a short break and come back to continue that. Took a little break, refreshed, and gonna keep on going. So now I need to make the pieces that are gonna slot in here, and just for the sake of simplicity, I'm gonna start with that. I'm just gonna mirror that up. So I'm gonna draw right on that plane, and I want to show my original skeleton. I'm going to select this inside one and convert it. And I'm going to do an extrude cut through all. And there. Just with that one. It's going to result in 0 thickness. Not sure how, but okay. So it doesn't like that. It shouldn't actually have an issue with that in theory, I would think. Oh no, it's going to have 0 thickness right there. Okay. How to deal with that? I'm going to cancel this sketch and make a new sketch on there. So I'm going to go across. I'm going to constrain to the original skeleton. Is that when I can constrain to something that's older or farther up the tree, I do. And let's see, I want to split it along here. And do the same thing again for the bottom as well. Alright. So yeah, I want to split like that. But I do want to have like kind of cuts going into there. So just draw in some rectangles for the time being. And can adjust them as needed. Add a bunch of equal constraints real quick. Most of this will be pretty much just for construction stuff. But draw it out so I've got an idea what I'm working with basically. And let's see, if I go from here, constrain to there, and I'm going to constrain to that as well, and make those parallel, and let's see, if I go draw a line, if I drag this out of the way first, I'm going to draw a line from the center of that to the center of that, and make these perpendicular, which will lock that in place in theory anyway. And just do Control Z on that. So I'm going to go this to that equals my material thickness. And if I constrain that to that, okay. Kind of going to do the same thing over here as well. Coincident and coincident again. Drag this out of the way. Make these parallel. Draw in a line from there, and make these perpendicular. And then do a constraint on that. So, okay. So that's fully constrained, but not very useful as it is. So I'm just gonna make all those for construction, and I'm even gonna hide this, and then I'm gonna hide literally everything else. So I just have that. And I'm just gonna draw over these lines. Do the same thing at the bottom. Okay. Then our newest body. So what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to use that sketch for a split feature, applying to this body. I'm going to cut, and yes, I want all of them, and okay. So now we've got these two that are essentially already done for us, and then I got the inside one that's not done for us. So let's do one more sketch on here. Get our skeleton back, and I'm going to select this chain, convert, and do an extrude cut through all, applying only to this body, and I'll split it in half, and I'll hide this, and I can hide this as well. And it looks good. And let's show everything. All right, so that basically looks right. I'm going to do another save and just double check that nothing's interfering. Still not fully designed, but the basic design is there. And no interferences, so that's good. All right, so what's next? Still need to do a kerf, but that'll come later. And we need to do the assembly chamfers. So I think that would be the first thing to do. So let's see. Start with this one. And gonna want to just draw these in, and oh, actually I don't want that. Let's see. These are going to be different. Like this is 4.31, this is 4.377. So 4.31, 4.31 again, I believe, and that's when it changes. So can't do this as much with patterns as I might like because it's not all the same. So if I draw on all those, I'm going to make these equal right away. And one more. Let's make those all equal. Just so it's easier for me to work with right now, I'm going to set these all to, say, 1.5. I'll change those later, but I don't want them to be too small while I'm working with them. And so I need to get those over to here, mirrored, and then mirrored down as well. And I never know if SolidWorks is going to cooperate on something like that, but we'll try. So I'm going to mirror and mirror across that, and okay. All right, and let me get away with it one time. Let me see if it will do it again. Sometimes it lets me, sometimes it doesn't. If it lets me, it'll rebuild. It seems to never have an issue with rebuilding, but sometimes it freaks out when I do this. Okay, it's happy. Good enough. So 4.31, 4.3. Okay. So these are always going to be there no matter how big or small I make the box. And this one will always be there as well. But like this one might disappear if I make the box smaller. So we need to use a pattern. So this is 4.377 and 4.377. All right. So I'm going to make one more pair of these. And I'm going to make them at the bottom as well. And make these all equal. And I think I just grabbed a point. Nope. Alright, and make them equal to that as well. So said fully defined, good deal. So let's select those, and I'm gonna hold down Control and select chain, and select chain again, and then I can do a linear pattern. And as always, make it 101, and then reduce it afterwards. So this is going to be, I'm going to work from the top. That's going to be coincident. And let's see. So this is x teeth at scale 1 minus 1 divided by 2. I think that should work. We'll find out. All right. And if I just edit linear pattern, it'll kind of highlight yellowy-ish on those. Okay. Looks good. And down there as well. All right. So then we need to do the sides also. And draw these in. So let's see, this is going to be 31, 31, 31, and okay. So again, we need to have 2 sets of these. All right, and we'll make these equal. And make them equal up there. And they fully defined. I'm going to mirror these using the plane. Okay. And mirror them again using another plane. Okay. Amazingly, I still don't have any errors, so that's good. And okay. So need to make a couple more here. And draw that in. And do the same thing over here. So this will be the base of another linear pattern. Going the other way. And gonna select all these, make them equal. And equal to that. So that's fully defined again. Good deal. So then I want to make a linear pattern. Oh, not a mirror. I want to make a linear pattern. What am I doing? And it's just 1 in this direction. We want it to be 101 in the other direction, though. And there we go. And let's change this equation a little bit to be y. Okay. Let's see. Let's drop that there. Okay. So that's fully constrained. Got chamfers on all the edges. So now I can make this what it actually is supposed to be. Come on. Equals simply. Did I make. What am I doing here? This is not a fillet, this is a chamfer. Okay. Equals simply chamfer. There we go. And then I'll just do an extrude cut through all, applying only to this piece. And there we go. Now, even if I resize it, the formulas will adjust for that. So that piece is done. Then I need to do the next piece. And let's see here. Sketch. And this time we're putting them right on the teeth because it starts like that. And one more. Okay. Oh, I didn't mean to go mid-plane point. Come on, grab. There we go. And equal and equal. And let's see. It's going to be 31, 31, and longer, and then not longer. So the first ones I need to do with a mirror. There we go. And then the rest of these I need to do as a linear pattern. And that's the hazard of these teeth not being exactly the same, but yeah, it's kind of, sometimes you got to work to what the design wants rather than what you want. And go equal on all those. And then I'm going to use that as a basis for how many these are. Oh, a linear pattern. Just one in that direction, 101 in there, going the other way. Okay, and drag my quantity up here. Come on. I always love it when it says it's running a command, but doesn't tell you what command it is because it's not running a command. It's just processing something slowly. All right, and it wasn't even doing anything. All right, come on. There we go. Now I can double click on that, give it a value, and good. Then we can constrain there. And then I just need to dimension this. Come on. There we go. And make those equal as well. All right. And let's see, there's another piece here. And there's one there. And there should be one more. Somewhere. There it is. So we want these same chamfers on all of those. So I'm going to go through both and select all 4 of them. All right. So these 2 pieces are dealt with, so I can just hide those out of the way. These still need more. So I'm going to put these on 3 of the teeth over here and then do a mirror for the other side. And can draw them nice and big to start with. And we'll dimension them afterwards. Oh, I did not want to do that. Don't want midpoint, just want a coincident. All right, so that's 6 triangles. And I'm gonna grab all the parallel or perpendicular sides. And make them all equal. And go ahead and dimension them as well. And then I can mirror those all as well too. Go. Then they're on both ends. Do an extrude cut through all. Applying to those two. All right. So now those are fully chamfered. Good deal. So just for a little bit more sanity, whatever you want to call it. Let's see, this is good. So this is the first of the chamfers. And sometimes I like to just start naming features after what they are so that if I have to go back, I can say, okay, that's where I started doing that. And the bonus on that is that unless you've manually renamed these bodies, it's like, okay, so I know that these are already chamfered. Hooray. All right. I'm also going to pull these out of the way so I can work a little bit easier. And pull these out. All right. So last time I started on this one, or well, the side one, but the equivalent of this one. And issue with that was that I had to do a little bit extra work afterwards. So this time, I think I'm going to start on this one instead. So let's see. Obviously, we need to do these. So I'll go ahead and draw in all 4 of these triangles here at the end. I'll mirror them, but I'll draw in all to the other side of this piece, but I'll draw in these 4 at least. And go equal. I think I just grabbed a point. Yep, I did. But I can just remove it from the list. And it won't let me do anything. Thanks. Great. Okay, fine. Okay, let's go equal on those. And go equal on those. All right, and then I'm going to mirror those across to the other side. Okay, and I'll dimension them as well. All right, so this is always going to be material thickness. Changes starting right there. All right, so basically the first 2 I need to deal with separately from the rest. And do the same thing on the bottom. Could probably use a mirror here, but there's a good chance it will just throw an error if I do that, so I'll just draw them in manually. And see if it'll let me grab a bunch of these all at once. Yep, all right. And probably won't be so generous up here, but we'll see. Nope. All right. If I flip the whole view upside down, it would let me, but you know, it's easier to just grab those and equal there. And I'll also go equal to this first one. All right, and I'm going to mirror these as well. Round that. Okay. So those ends and these end pieces, all these cuts so far won't even touch this one. So then I need to start working on the ones that actually will. So this is, at this point, we're working the ones that are actually like a formula driven. So we need a few more of these. And come on, give me, all right. And good deal. So we got all these are going to be equal to that. And these I can drag to get. And they're going to also be equal to that. And let's see, this will be using X. So I'm going to make a linear pattern of these 4 triangles. Go the other way. 101. Ooh. Yep. So that was a mistake. I'm just going to delete these 4 triangles entirely. I want to always want to start from this end. These, it doesn't really matter because they're going to be mirrored. But, you know, actually, darn. Did that all wrong. All wrong. Okay, let's try that again. So we want to work from the correct end. That I know that sounds crazy, but we want to do it right, so that it doesn't come back to bite later. So just drawing all the triangles I need. I'll work with them separately, but I'll just draw them all in right away, because I already figured out what I need on the other side. At least I got something out of that. Yeah, if I'd worked from that other side and changed things around, it would have caused me all sorts of problems, I think, later on. And there we go. Let's see. Grab, 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 and grab. All right. And equal on all these. All right. And we want to do the same thing up here, except it's not as easy to grab them. All right, and we'll dimension those. Okay, that's a little bit better. So these, I missed one, I think. There we go. And I'm gonna mirror this across that. Okay, I'm gonna do a linear pattern. And 101. Okay, I'm gonna use this as the quantity for it. It'll let me drag this out. Okay. And then I'll just do one more coincident right there to lock it in place. Fully defined. And I'm missing 2 more here. Just add those in. Equal, and then I'll mirror those as well. And there. So now I've got them on all the corners. That looks good. And we want to get those back. I'm going to do my extrude cut through all and apply it to all 4 of these. Alright, so this one is sorted. So hide it. This one's sorted, so I'll hide it. And these are almost done. They just need those, which we want to start from the correct side. That's always helpful. So I don't have to redo it again like I did last time. So those are going to be equal. And throw the dimension on there. And then I can mirror that across. There. And do an extrude cut through all, applying to those 2. And I started naming these earlier, which I think is a good thing to do. So I'll just continue that. And it's been a while, so I'm going to click save. Alright, so now all of these parts have been chamfered. So now I'm down to 4 pieces. There we go. And so let's go ahead and start doing these as well. Believe it's going to be kind of the same thing where it's 2 and then a pattern, and then it finishes up with the mirrored of the original 2. Let's hide this. But 31, 31, 31, 31, 337. Okay. And same down here, right? 31, 31, 31, 31, 337. Okay. So let's mention these real quick. Or at least make them all equal. I will put a dimension on them, but I want them to stay big for now, so it's not the final dimension. And let's see, if I just draw a line here, and it's going to be for construction, perpendicular and equal. So then select these, and I want to mirror them about this line. Okay, and then I want to just go coincident. So those are locked down. Hide this as well. And then I'm going to select all those, mirror them again, but this time use the plane. So those are all locked down. And then this gap is the same as this gap. Yep. So I need to draw in a couple more here. And since it's only a few, I'll go ahead and just draw them all in. And make them all equal. There we go. So then I need to do a linear pattern with those. Okay, let's see. I want it to be still X teeth, I believe. Okay, good deal. And then I'll do a coincident. And all right, that looks good. I could probably mirror those across, but it's going to be kind of unstable if I do that. And I've got a kind of a better way of dealing with that anyway. So I'll just do it like this, extrude cut through all, to there. And all right, so those all went through good. As long as I'm working on this one piece, I might as well take care of these last couple bits here. And starting to get a little slow on me. But we're close enough. There's only a couple left to do, so that's okay. And make them all equal. All right, so that also needs to be chamfered. Sort that. Make those equal as well. All right, so I want all of this to be mirrored around, or mirrored across. And there we go. Okay. All right, so that's all of those pieces that I want. All those corners are chamfered. And see this. Just deal with it like that, and then we can go to mirror across this way. And again, just gonna keep naming like this. It's 11, 12, 13, and 14. And that way, those automatically name themselves. And then we only have these two remaining. So, go ahead and take care of the end piece there. And it's going to be equal. And I'll put a dimension on them. Again, this won't be the final dimension. And I'm going to do, let's see, 271, 271, all the way down to there. It's all 271. Okay. So this one I can just do as a single pattern and not have things on extra teeth on the end that are different. Draw these in. And gotta make these all equal, of course. So these have to be mirrored. And so that'll do. These have to be linear patterned. And let's see, we're going to use Y teeth. All right. All right. Oh, that's a little bit different. Oh, yeah, there would be an extra one, wouldn't there? Just, yeah, that's fine. So let's put this all in brackets. And then just add one. All right. And equals assembly chamfer. Okay. Gonna extrude cut through all, applying only to this one piece. Okay. Gonna go back this delete bodies feature. I can use it for this as well. And then I need to mirror this. And keep up with my naming. 16 and 17. So now everything's been touched by assembly chamfer or camper. I'm never quite sure on that. Save. So yeah, now everything's got just a little bit of an angle to it to make it easier to push everything together, because this is meant to be a tight fit. Theoretically without glue, although maybe just a little bit of glue for safety's sake. All right. So I've got a basic frame. It doesn't have, obviously it's not laid out flat, and it doesn't have any kerf applied to it. So those are still to come. I'm not sure if I'll bother showing those because it's kind of a slow process, and I've shown it before. And then only other thing is, right now, if you want to place this on a coffee table, well, too bad. It's at this size it'll work, but at the size that I'm actually going to be making these, it'll be too thin compared to its thickness. It'll just fall over, and it'll stand on its own. But if you like touch the table, it'll fall over. And putting it on a wall isn't really going to work unless you're using double stick tape or something. So I need something that will allow you to actually put it on a wall. And what I'm thinking is a nail shaft is give or take 2 millimeters. I mean, this isn't very heavy. It doesn't need the heaviest nail. And the nail head is maybe, say, 6 millimeters, thereabout, give or take. And let's go coincident. And we've got our plane, so we can go coincident with that. And for both of them, come on, let me grab it. There we go. All right, and let's see if we just going to draw a rectangle. That's going to be tangent, 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 and tangent. Okay. Let's show my original skeleton again. And I'm going to convert these two. And actually, I'll go ahead and convert the bottom two as well. And let's hide this again. All right, so now if we draw from there to there and make this perpendicular, and I want to go from the midpoint on this one, which is going to be hard to grab, so I'll just use a constraint to grab it. I want to go to the midpoint on this one as well and make these parallel. So that's locked down. And so that works out all right. Now, the other way of mounting it would be to put in the corners, one in each corner up here, which I can go ahead and do that, I think. First of all, I'm going to make everything for construction real quick. And then I'm going to draw in another 2 circles I actually make this, get this all ready before I start patterning it. So I'm going to trim entities. I'm going to trim that, and I'm going to trim that. And I don't necessarily like the way that that's set up. So I want to put in an arc here, and I'll draw a line across that's, make it parallel, and put a point on it that's concentric. So then I can constrain and constrain. Make this for construction. Make this tangent. Make this tangent. And then make these tangent as well. Okay. Come on. All right. Tangent. All right. So now I got a nice little shape there. And just to check, and it does not want to extrude that because it's not quite right. So I'm going to make this for construction and go from there to there, way down, make it equal. And then if I do a extrude, it'll actually be totally wrong. Okay, why is it totally wrong? Oh, same issue there. Let's make that for construction as well. And make those equal. Now, that's how I want it. Okay. So now I feel a little bit better patterning that. And I'll also select the chain while holding control. And go back to my sketch. And I'm going to do a linear pattern of just to that. I'm going to do a linear pattern going the other way. All right. Just drag these way out there and way out there. So then I'm going to do a couple of lines. Make these also for construction and equal. So now these are tied to each other. Nice and easy. And let's see. I'm just going to go ahead and hide the bodies. So this and this. Yep. If we go like that, make it perpendicular. And go from midpoint to there. And it's going to be for construction and perpendicular. And those are all locked down real nice. So now I can put a nail at either corner or just one in the middle if I prefer. And then down here, I'm thinking as long as I'm doing this, I mean, no one's going to see this except from the back. And if I put them down here, then that'll at least open up the option, like if you say you wanted to mount this in a motorhome, and you're you know getting all sorts of vibrations going down the road and things are falling off the wall, you maybe want to mount it at all four corners. And it doesn't really take anything extra for me to add that. I mean, it's laser cutting the piece anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and give the customer that option. So I'm going to select all those. Linear pattern going down, and just put in 100 for the time being. I'll adjust that. All right, hide all these again so I can work with just the sketch. And so I'm going to go perpendicular and grab both of these. They're for construction, they're perpendicular, it's fully defined. Show everything again. Do an extrude cut through all, and only applying to this one piece. All right. And again, just want to kind of make a note of what this is. And some of these I didn't really pay too much attention to for their naming. Doesn't really matter all that much. But okay, so yeah, now you can pretty well mount it however you like. I'm gonna save again because at this point, all I have left to do is I need to put kerf on everything, which I've made a video of that in the past. It's time consuming and kind of boring. Uh, and then I need to lay everything flat. Again, made a video of that in the past. Time consuming, kind of boring. See the dice video if you want to see how to do that stuff. So I'm not going to bother making a video of that. So I think this is all done. If I run into any other problems while I'm working with it, I will of course add a little bit to the end of this video. But for now, this. So I thought of one other little feature I want to put in here. So adding a little bit to the video. Thinking I'd like to put some text in here, and obviously the text would vary by what it is, but like I like doing kind of artistic drawings of cars sometimes. So I'm thinking like it could be like the manufacturer name, the car model, horsepower, and torque, or something of that nature. Uh, if it's something else, a flower or whatever, maybe something about the taxonomy. I don't know. But yeah, so going to just get a vague idea. So we've got 3 material thicknesses wide. My material's always over 4 millimeters, so I figure if the text is 12 across, it's going to be tight but still good. So just for a little bit more breathing room, I think 10 across would be good. So I'm going to go into up here, go to document properties and annotations, and I'm going to set my font to 10. And then I have to pick a font, and obviously it's a matter of personal opinion. This personally favorite font I've found so far. It's called Toyota MR2. It's not exactly the same as what they use for the logos on the MR2 cars from Toyota, but it's similar enough to kind of look the same. So I'm gonna do a drawing of the top face, top plane. I'm gonna show my skeleton again, and then I'm gonna hide all those. So I'm gonna select this chain, convert it, select this chain, convert it. I can hide that again, and see, my division is like is 1 material thickness down from there. So hide those again, and I can draw in a couple of rectangles, and start dimensioning those in place. All right, and then I can go do that, and I can do that, and coincident, and coincident. I'm gonna select everything, make it for construction, then I can select this chain, and this chain, and this chain, and this chain. Make them not for construction, just so it's a little bit easier to see what I'm working with. Then I'm going to draw in a couple more rectangles inside of those. And I'm May need a new variable in a second. First, just gonna hide these so that I can grab the edges that I want. And I want to make them all equal. Create this variable. Text height is going to be 10 millimeters. So then I can go from here to here equals text height. All right. So that'll work. Control Z. And then I need some midpoints. And there we go. And midpoint. Midpoint. It's not what I want. Select not select chain. I want to select other and get this little line and midpoint. And same deal down here. Select other, get the shorter line. Nope, not that one. The shorter line. Go midpoint there. Doesn't like that at all, of course. Fine. Come on, give me the shorter line. That one. Midpoint. It doesn't like that. Maybe if I get rid of this coincident here. It still doesn't like that. Vertical, midpoint, equal length. Why is it just being such a trouble? Midpoint, just give me the midpoint, come on. And I can just drag it to be right at the midpoint, and it has no problem with that. Equal. Yeah, it don't like that for whatever reason. And so what I can do instead is just work from this end maybe. See if they'll let me do that. It won't let me do that either. Alright, I will select this whole chain and just delete it, because apparently that's not working for me. Give me midpoint now. Alright, that's so weird. I honestly don't know why it's not vertical. It still doesn't care. Unsolvable. Yeah, sometimes SolidWorks will throw you a curveball. Alright, let's see. What can I do? Alright, let me do that. And parallel, let me do that. And offset, lets me do that. Okay, it's all sorts of crazy. Alright, let's try, it lets me do that. Let's keep trying things until it freaks out on me again. Alright, this is unbelievable. Apparently it's not happy at all, and now it's even freaking out extra. Sketch 29, which doesn't exist. Alright, that was the sketch I was just doing. It's giving me an error that it doesn't. Yeah, SolidWorks has some bugs. Don't ever let anyone tell you that it's perfect. Alright. So let's try this again, being a little bit more careful. So those can be like that. I'm gonna hide this. Gonna remove the on edge from as many of these as I can get away with before they start turning blue. All right. And let's see. If I draw in like that and like that, and oh, two more. So these would be collinear and collinear. These will be parallel and equals material thickness. And if I go there and there, try to minimize the equations I've got going. So equal. All right. So yeah, I can go. Yeah, I really hesitate to use a rectangle that has all those constraints. I'm going to use this rectangle instead. And just go like that. And then if I draw in a line and draw on a line and put a midpoint and a midpoint and make that midpoint, make that midpoint, and for construction, draw that line in, draw that line in, make these all parallel, and add some midpoints, and midpoint, and midpoint. All right. So far, it hasn't freaked out. That's a good start. Equal on all those. And equals not material. Oh, no, not material thickness. What am I thinking? Equals my text height. Okay. That time it's not unhappy. Hooray. So go for construction. Grab my text tool. And grab this. And yeah, I'll decide what this is actually going to say later on. But all right, so that's one issue you can run into with non-standard fonts is sometimes they just don't turn out right. So if we go and select a manual font, I've got so many fonts here I don't even know. So like that one's dead on, but this other one not so much. But I do want that font. I like this font. It's just kind of broken. So what do we do about that? Well, we know it's, let's see. If I draw a rectangle here, just kind of draw up to the very bottom of this. Yeah. And do the same thing up here. So that's 0.993-ish. And that's 0.746. So not only is it off, it's kind of off in a way that's hard to figure out. But if we, so yeah, not only is it off, but it's a little bit too tall. So let's see here. If we go, oh wait, 753 versus 746. That's so 0.753. Let's see if we can do something with that. So let's go parallel, and then 0.753. Make this a variable so I can adjust it if I change fonts. And don't need these rectangles. These are just for measuring. So double click on that, delete the line and select that and like that. So that's like about as good as I could hope for. So then I want to, let's see, well, the bottom I can do nice and easy. So down there, make it parallel and make it equal to text lower and add some more text. This will be XYZ, sure, whatever. You can always change this later. Double check this is use the document font. Now, one little issue with this font is that if I try to use that, it's not gonna like it. So I'm gonna change this to say 110. See how that works. And 120. Nope, didn't adjust it really at all. So let's try that. 110, that works. So I do the same thing up here just so it matches. All right. And I have to decide, do I want the bottom of the text to be facing inward or outward? And I think inward would be better. Just kind of spitballing that, but yeah, reasonable minds could disagree. So make it equal to text lower. Make it equal to text lower. And let's draw in some more text. And same thing, 110, make it all match. And over here as well. 110, make it all match. All right. Let's go for construction with everything. For construction doesn't affect the text, so you can just, if you're using all those lines just to constrain the text, you can just go for construction. It says it's underdefined, but everything that can be defined is defined. It just always says that about text. So looks pretty good from where I'm sitting. It's maybe it's a little bit too big for the pieces that's going on. Maybe just because this is such a small thing, say it's AA, BB. There we go, simpler. And I'm going to do an extruded cut. And I'm going to select that, and that. And I'm just going to go like 0.1 millimeter. And click OK. So now that text is down in there. And I think that'll work. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and name that. And I may have to adjust that. I may decide that those are too big. Maybe I, want to write more and I run out of width, but I think that'll end up being about right. So yeah, I still need to do the curve and the flat layout, but again, I'm gonna kind of skip that as I've already shown it before. So. All right, just a little bit of an extra to tack onto the end of the video. I made a mistake when I was working on this, and it was a mess to fix it. I thought about recording it, but yeah, I was halfway done by the time I actually thought about that, so I didn't even bother. But basically, what I did was the lettering I put on before I did the curve. And that was a mistake because obviously all these letters are creating faces. It's a face, etc. So every one of those faces was getting an ID, and then I did the kerf, which meant that all the faces out here got replaced with ones that were slightly farther out. So those got new IDs that were higher than the IDs of the letters. So as soon as I made any change to the text, um, the face IDs all got screwed up, and then everything just kind of failed to rebuild. So what I did was, instead of putting the letters on first, um, I just went ahead and made these little cuts, and those are just references that I can use to draw the words on. Basically, I use those to attach lines with the midpoint constriction or constraint. Put my text on there, and so basically I made that as like the second to last feature, and then the last feature is, of course, just filling in those holes. Um, so just a thing to keep in mind that text is going to create all sorts of extra faces with their own IDs, and if you put them before something else and you're referencing that something else, now face ID number, I don't know, 2003 is, instead of being this, maybe now it's this. Um, Whereas if you just make the little rectangles that are for reference later, those are just going to stay the same. So yeah, that was just a little mistake I made. Eh, Actually, it's a pretty big one, but wanted to basically point it out in case you're trying to follow along, save you a little bit of hair pulling. So that's it. Again, hope you enjoyed the video, and if you'd like to see more, subscribe, comment, like, do all the YouTube stuff, whatever, or don't. But yeah, hope you enjoyed it.